Welcome to a brand new episode of Chavrusadaf.
Chavrusadaf.
Binyamin Ben Swerdlick, it says on the bottom, Ben. Binyamin Ben. And we also have
Rabbi Yosef Reuven Aryeh.
Right? We also have a guest, a daughter of yours, not Ben, but Bas. She appeared in a previous episode.
Yes. For those who are following closely, this is not her first appearance.
We are towards the end of Yud Gimel Amud Beis, July 5th, 2004, Erev Shabbos Kodesh, currently 3:31 p.m. in New York. And the reason we're doing this is because Yitzi Langer messaged me and said, does Yipit Data have work today? And I said, I don't know, but let me text him. Maybe we can chaperine a little bit.
Let's chaperine. I actually played pickleball this morning. And then had a few pickles. So I'm not in a pickle to go to work right now.
3 pickles, pickle. If you need the domain, it might not be available. Pickle.com. Okay. I don't know what that is. I'm not telling you to go there. Okay. The Gemara begins a new topic whose relevance to our Mishnah will emerge in the course of the discussion. There is a slight 1-second delay. So
now what should I say?
That's what I'm talking about, little girl. Here we go. Tana Rabbanan. The Rabbanan taught in the Brisa a few lines down, 5 lines from the bottom of Yud Gimel Amud Beis in Yoma.
I'm there.
Kohen Gadol Makriv Onen. A Kohen Gadol offers karbanos while he is an onain. What is an onain? Upon the death of any one of the 7 closest relatives, a father, a mother, a brother, an unmarried sister, a son, a daughter, or a spouse, a person enters a state of mourning. The first stage of the mourning period is called aninos. The mourner is then known as an onain. The length of the aninos period is a matter of dispute among the Talmudic sages, which we will discuss shortly. Although an ordinary kohen may not perform any temple service while in a state of aninos, the restriction does not apply, Rabbi Say, to a kohen gadol. This distinction is derived from the pasuk, which states regarding the kohen gadol, he shall not come near any dead person. He shall not contaminate himself to his father or his mother. He shall not leave the temple, and he shall not desecrate the temple of his God. This indicates that a kohen gadol may perform the temple service after the loss of a relative without desecrating the service. Conversely, it implies that if an ordinary kohen gadol serves while in a state of aninos, he does invalidate the service. Okay. Tana Rabbanan, kohen gadol makriv oinen. According to the Tanakama, a kohen gadol offers karbanos while he's in onain, ve'eno ochel, but he does not eat them. An onain may not eat of any sacred food. This restriction is stated explicitly in the Torah regarding meiser, and certainly applies to sacrificial meat, which possesses an even greater degree of sanctity than does meiser. This isser applies to both an ordinary kohen and to a kohen gadol. So he's allowed to bring the karbanos, but do not eat. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer kol hayom. Rabbi Yehuda says the entire day. What does the entire day mean? That is unclear. And the Gemara immediately proceeds to elucidate it. Elucidate is an English word created by Art Scroll. Okay, my kol hayom. What did Rabbi Yehuda mean by the entire day? Amar Rava. Rava said, Bruce Ari amends this to Rabba. Rabbi Yehuda finds it necessary to teach us that he, the kohen gadol, is not only permitted to serve as an onain, but ought to be brought from his home and made to serve for the entire day. Not only is the kohen gadol permitted to serve Zak Rashi, it is actually a mitzvah to bring him from home and to see to it that he served the entire day of aninos in order to assuage his grief. Let's look at the word in Rashi just to see what the word Rashi uses. Mitzvahu sheyaviuhu lemikdash. It's a mitzvah to bring him to the mikdash la'avid kol hayom, to serve the entire day, kidei lepakoch tsaro, in order to squash his pain, distract him from his pain.
Okay, yeah.
He's busy with it. It's interesting to note that we can learn from here, according to this thought from Rashi, that when someone what?
different coping mechanisms.
Yeah, that when someone's going through some level of pain, there's this inyan to distract him, whether through conversation or through action. Maybe as a childhood technique, when someone is sad about something, we try to distract them from the losing of the toy, going to the park, things like that. So there is a.
Yeah, but interesting, it's only the Kohen Gadol, but not the Kohen. Right? We're only talking about the Kohen Gadol.
Correct, right. Yeah, I mean, distraction techniques can work for everything, but the Kohen Gadol, since he doesn't invalidate the service while an onen, we still allow
And
we
right.
want to we
And
want to
by the way, it's a machlokes, right? So maybe Rabbi Yehuda believes in, a distracting coping mechanism, whereas maybe, the Rabbanan or the Tanakama is like, no, it's more of like, you gotta, talk it out, right? Therapy. So these are two schools of thought.
Can't argue with that, Reb Binyamin, Reb Ben. Understood this way, Reb Yehuda treats the state of Aninus more leniently than does the Tanakama. For a while, according to the Tanakama, the Torah merely tolerated the Kohen Gadol serving as an onen. According to Reb Yehuda, the Torah actually encourages him to do so. The Gemara proceeds to challenge this understanding. Amarle Abaye. Abaye says, Hashtel Reb Yehuda puke map kinan le. Now we know, according to Rabbi Yehuda, we dismiss an ordinary Kohen who becomes an onen from the Avaita, even if he's in middle of the carbon, the Tanya, because it says in a brisa, if he was standing and offering a carbon on the mizbeach, v'shama shemeis lo meis, and he heard that a relative of his has died, maniach avodasa v'yotze, he immediately abandons his carbon, his Avaita, and leaves the temple. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda, those are the words of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yossi says Yigmar, he should first complete the Avaida and then exit. So we see over here an ordinary Kohen, Rabbi Yehuda treats the state of Aninus more stringently than the other Tanayim. Ve'at amart ma'sainen le'mitech beise, and yet you, Rava / Rabba, you say that we bring the Kohen Gadol from his house to serve as an onen. Zucked the note. It seems illogical that Rabbi Yehuda should treat the state of Aninus more stringently than do other Tanaim in the case of an ordinary Kohen, and yet treat Aninus less stringently than do other Tanaim in the case of the Kohen Gadol, right? Over here, this brisa, you see Rabbi Yehuda says that we're so worried about a Kohen and he runs out of it, but yet an onen of a Kohen Gadol, we say, you're more holy, but you know what? Come do the avodah. Come, we have an open distraction for you. Come. It doesn't really stim so well. Rava accepts this rebuttal and suggests a different explanation of what Rabbi Yehuda's Kol Hayom possibly means. Ella Amar Rava, my Kol Hayom, what did Rabbi Yehuda mean when he said the entire day? Leimer She'ina Eved Kol Hayom. He meant to say that biblical permit, notwithstanding, he, the Kohen Gadol, may not serve in the entire day of his Aninus, Gzeira Shema Yechal.
Okay, he's going all the way to the opposite.
He might eat. So when it says Kol Hayom, it doesn't actually mean that we should distract him. It means that he should not come serve the entire day.
So that he doesn't come eat. So
before the eating, if he doesn't serve the entire day, then what's the machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda and the Tanakama?
Whether or not he is able to serve. The Tanakama says he's allowed to serve, but he can't eat. So Rabbi Yehuda says no, he can't. He's not even allowed to serve
because Rava says he might come to eat, and it's forbidden. On a biblical level, the period of Aninus extends at least until nightfall.
My daughter's challah is in the oven, has to come out. 1 second, sorry, I'll be back in a minute.
No problem. So, on a biblical level, we're worried that he might come to eat. And eating is forbidden. Why is it forbidden? Rava here suggests Rabbi Yehuda is saying that during the day of death, when Aninus is supported on the biblical level, the Rabbanan forbid the Kohen Gadol to perform any temple service, lest he be led to partake of the meat, which is usser. As an onen on a biblical level, he's not allowed to eat. So that's why we say Rabbi Yehuda says Kol Hayom, So you shouldn't do
Well,
that.
meaning so it's a real gezerah because there's an actual daraisa of not eating. Therefore, we say don't serve.
Yeah, it's a gzera to don't serve because you might come to eat, which is an Isser Daraisa. Fact, Rav Ada bar Ava to Rava, mi gaz Rabbi Yehuda Shami Echel, but does Rabbi Yehuda really maintain that there is a decree that an Oni not perform any temple service lest he eat of the sacrifice? Ayvatnan, we learned in our Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda Oimer, we learned in our Mishnah, Af Isha Acheres Maskinin Loi, they also prepare another wife for him, Shema Thomas Ishtai, lest his wife die. The Maise Ishtai Avid Avodah. Now, the whole point of preparing another wife for him is so that if his wife dies in Yom Kippur, he would still be able to perform the Yom Kippur service. Like Gazer Rabbi Yehuda Shema Yechal. Now, should his wife die in Yom Kippur, he will be an onin, and yet we see that Rabbi Yehuda allows him to perform the service and does not decree that he should not do so lest he eat of the sacrifices. So you want to say, Rava, that Rabbi Yehuda is worried that he's going to come to eat the carbon. We actually just said in the Mishnah that we prepare another wife for him. It makes no mention that Rabbi Yehuda is concerned that he is going to become an onain and run away from the avodah. He might come to eat. It makes no mention of this concern in the Mishnah. Right? We're just worried about getting him another wife, not that he might become an onain. So Rava says to Rava de Barvo, Hashda, what comparison is this? Hasam, there in the case of the Mishnah, Kevin Yom Kippurmu, it's Yom Kippur, the Kule Ama Loika Achle, when no one is eating anything anyway, it being a fast day. So Hunami Lo Yasil, he too will not eat. Right? So that's why in our Mishnah, we're worried about him eating. It's Yom Kippur, Rebbe. Not Rebbe is Rebbe Yamin, not because we're talking to okay. But here, Hacha, in our case, the Kuli Alma Achli, when everyone is eating, Hunami Asur, he may also come to eat the karbanas. So that's why over here, it's necessary to bar him from performing any temple service to remind him of his status of as an onain. So when it says kol hayom, it's referring to not doing anything. Rav Ada's challenge to Rava was based on the premise.
It makes a lot of sense that on Yom Kippur, there's no gzer of eating.
What?
I'm saying Yom Kippur makes sense not to be a gzer of no eating.
Yeah.
Right? I'm saying.
Yeah. Rav Ada's challenge to Rava was based on the premise that the Kohen Gadol would become an onain should his wife die on Yom Kippur, right? Rav Ada challenged Rabbi Yehuda and says, hey, you're worried that he becomes an onain? Should his wife die in Yom Kippur? Under such circumstances, would an aninas really take effect on him? He divorced her. Note 3, the Gemara has already established on Yud Gimel Amid Beis that according to Rabbi Yehuda, affairs were arranged in such a way that should the Kohen Gadol's wife die in Yom Kippur, he would step into a synagogue, actually actuating her divorce retroactively. Accordingly, from a technical point of view, she would not have been his wife on the day of her death, and he would not become an onain. Meaning your whole slug up to us from the Mishnah was that he will become an onain. The premise of your question, it doesn't stand because it's not his wife anymore. It's a grusha. And for the Gemara, granted that aninus does not take effect on him because of a technicality, but he is not preoccupied with melancholy thoughts at the loss of someone who was with his wife. Certainly he is. And he may therefore not partake of sacrificial portions.
Wow. No, 4. A person in a state of melancholy may eat sacrificial portions. But Paris says concerning the portions of offerings that are worth on him, which translates to, of all the sanctities of the children of Israel, I have given them to you for anointment. They should be like kings. Implies that they must be eaten in a kingly manner in a state of So technically, even though they're divorced, he's presumably going to be melancholy. In such a state, he's not allowed to be sacrificial.
So now, if his wife of long standing dies on Yom Kippur, even if she was technically divorced, he will presumably be plunged into melancholy, and in such a state will not be allowed to eat the karbanos meat. Rav Ada bar Ava therefore was right in questioning how Rav Yehuda could allow the Kohen Gadol in such a circumstance to serve at all, since according to Rav Yehuda does not normally allow someone who is barred from eating sacrificial portions to perform temple service. As we have seen, however, Rav answered this question, explaining that since everyone is fasting on Yom Kippur anyway, there's no concern that he may partake of the sacrifice. Yeah, but he's still going to be melancholy, no?
Sorry, somewhat correct right here on the side, so I didn't follow that last part. Good question. Yeah, you know the type right before we were learning, I was fine. My daughter was fine. Now that I'm sitting here learning, Yitzhar is using her as a tool. It's not nice.
Like that. Let me get a. I'm getting a snack.
Using a 3-year-old. Blah blah blah. The Yitzhar.
Okay, we're gonna stop here. Learn it over on Shabbos, so we get it stacking good. And then Metro Shem Sunday, we're gonna start the new Mishnah. Okay?
All right, you're around Shabbos though?
Yeah, I'm around if you want to learn.
No, we'll do a little Chazara, but okay, awesome. Have a wonderful Shabbos.
Okay. Very good. Shkoyach Rabbi Yamin.